Think about the last time you opened your banking app. Go ahead, really picture that moment. For most people, that simple 3-second action triggers a subtle yet sickening knot of anxiety deep in their stomach. You aren't just looking at numbers on a screen, you are looking at your survival score for the month.
You are desperately calculating, in real time, if that dinner with your friends is going to ruin your grocery budget, or if one unexpected flat tire or one annoying medical bill is going to leave you literally on the verge of total ruin. It is an exhausting way to live. And here is the kicker. Most financial gurus, the guys in the expensive suits you see on TV, they are making it worse. They scream at you about the first $100,000. They tell you that you need $1 million before you can even breathe. But I am telling you right now, they are dead wrong. They are completely ignoring the most critical, invisible, and totally overlooked milestone in the history of building wealth. There is a hidden threshold that happens way sooner than 100,000, a number that fundamentally rewires your biological brain and flips the rules of money upside down. That number is exactly $20,000. And the truth is, if you haven't hit that number yet, your financial house is essentially on fire, and you are trying to pick out new curtains while the roof is actively collapsing on your head.
Look, here is the reality of the situation. Most people spend their entire adult lives pushing a massive, heavy, jagged boulder up a steep, muddy hill. You are straining, your muscles are burning, you are sweating through your shirt, and yet you feel like you are making almost zero progress. Every single time you manage to save a tiny bit of cash, life kicks you right back down to the bottom. An emergency happens, the car makes a weird clicking noise, the rent goes up $50, and boom, you are back at zero. It feels like a curse, right? It feels like the universe is actively working against you. But here is what the wealthy understand that you don't. Once you hit $20,000, you finally reach the top of that hill. Suddenly, gravity stops fighting you. Gravity starts working for you. This isn't just a nice savings account to brag about to your parents. It is the exact moment you transition from a life of survival mode into a life of wealth mode. And the difference between the two is literally the difference between being a slave to your bills and being the absolute architect of your own destiny. But why 20,000? Why not 10 or 50? It's because of how your brain is wired. You see, when you have zero money, or even just a few $1,000s, your brain operates in what psychologists call survival mode. This isn't just a stressful feeling, it is a biological amygdala hijack. Every single financial decision you make is filtered through a lens of fear and scarcity. You stay at that soul-crushing job with the boss who treats you like dirt because you literally cannot afford to say no. You stay in that toxic relationship or that cramped, loud apartment because you feel trapped by your own bank balance. Your mental bandwidth is so completely consumed by immediate threats that your brain literally loses the physical ability to see opportunities. It is like trying to plan a luxury vacation while your kitchen is actively burning down. You can't think about 5 years from now because you were too busy trying to figure out how to survive the next 5 minutes. But when you finally cross that $20,000 mark, a miracle happens. The smoke clears, the fire goes out. Suddenly, for the first time in years, your brain finally has the space to think differently. Instead of waking up at 3 in the morning asking, how do I survive until Friday? You start asking, how can I grow this? Research from massive financial institutions proves that even a $2,000 buffer increases your happiness by 20%. But at $20,000, you unlock a psychological power-up that changes your entire identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of the economy, and you start seeing yourself as a player in the game. Therefore, hitting 20,000 is the first major threshold that separates those who will build massive wealth from those who will spend their entire lives living paycheck to paycheck until the day they die. Most people have no idea this threshold even exists. They think they are just bad with money, but the reality is they are just stuck in the mud at the very bottom of the hill. But hold on, because it's not just about feeling better. The actual math of the universe shifts at this level too. There is a mechanical acceleration phase that kicks in once you hit 20,000 that makes your money grow faster while you do less work. If you don't understand how this money machine starts to build itself, you will keep working 100 hours a week and wonder why you are still broke. Because once you crest this hill, the rules of time and effort change forever, and the gap between you and the old you starts to become a canyon. Now take a deep breath, because we are about to look at the magic math that happens once you hit this level. And I promise, even if you hate numbers, this is going to be the most exciting thing you hear all year. Most people think that building wealth is a linear, slow, boring crawl. They think that if it took you 2 years to save your first 20,000, it will take you another 2 years to save the next 20. But they are dead wrong. Let's look at the snowball effect in the real world. Let's say you were saving $1,000 every single month and investing it into a simple index fund. Getting to that first $20,000 is a total slog. It takes about 19 months of painful discipline, cutting back on dinners and saying no to your friends. It is hard, it is exhausting, and frankly, this is where 99% of people give up. They think, if it's this hard just to get 20,000, I'll never reach $1 million.
But here is the secret that will blow your mind. Your second $20,000 doesn't take another 19 months. It only takes 17. Now, think about that for a second. You did the exact same amount of work. You saved the same amount of money each month. You took the same level of risk, but you shaved 2 full months off the timeline just because you had that first $20,000 working in the background. By the time you are going for your third or fourth milestone, the timeline shrinks even more. Your money is doing an increasing share of the heavy lifting while you are putting in the exact same effort. And when you get to the really big numbers, the acceleration becomes almost comical. Once you hit a serious portfolio, you can generate $20,000 in just 5 months without lifting a single finger. That is the moment your money becomes your employee. And let me tell you, it is the best employee in the world. It never sleeps, it never takes a vacation, and it never complains. Therefore, when you save $20,000, you aren't just accumulating a pile of cash. You are building a money machine that starts to replace your own sweat and blood. But wait, because it's not just about the math. There is a psychological superpower that unlocks at this level that changes how the entire world treats you. It is what I call walking away money. Think about your life right now. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, you are essentially a slave to your current job. Your boss could be a total nightmare, your coworkers could be toxic, the work could be mind-numbing, but you cannot leave. You are in an incredibly weak negotiating position. You can't ask for the raise you deserve because you're terrified they might fire you. You can't speak up when things are wrong because you need that next check to pay the rent. You are trapped, and guess what? Everyone in that office can smell the desperation on you. But $20,000 changes the entire dynamic. Suddenly, you have the power to say no. You could quit tomorrow and survive for 6 months while you find something better. This doesn't mean you should be reckless or go out and burn bridges, but it means you are now negotiating from a position of strength instead of desperation. Just knowing that money is sitting there changes your entire demeanor at the office. You become more confident, more assertive, and more willing to take on big, challenging projects because you aren't afraid of failing. And here is the crazy part. When you stop acting like a slave to the paycheck, people start treating you like a leader. Suddenly, you're getting the better assignments, more recognition, and yes, more money. It is a massive positive feedback loop that accelerates your wealth even faster than the math ever could. But there is a dark side to this, because once you hit 20,000, the temptation to ruin everything becomes almost overwhelming. You start feeling rich, and that is exactly when most people make the mistake that keeps them poor for the rest of their lives. If you don't understand the trap that comes right after the $20,000 mark, you will find yourself right back at the bottom of the hill, wondering where it all went wrong. But here is where most people, and I mean nearly 90% of people, absolutely ruin their entire financial future. They hit that $20,000 mark, they feel that incredible psychological wealthy shift we talked about, and then they immediately go out and blow it on something stupid. They think to themselves, hey, I've been so disciplined, I've worked so hard, I finally deserve that brand new truck or that flashy vacation. Stop. Do not do this. Listen to me very carefully, because this is the moment that determines if you stay wealthy or if you slide right back into the mud. That $20,000 is not a reward for good behavior. It is not a trophy to be spent. It is the seed of your entire financial freedom. If you pull that seed out of the ground now just to show off to your neighbors, you will never see the tree. You are essentially killing your future self for a new car smell that is going to fade in 3 months. Think about the math of that mistake for a second, because it stings when you see the real numbers. The average person spends more money on their car over their lifetime than it would take to achieve total financial independence. A $30,000 car isn't just $30,000. It is $200,000 of future wealth that you just set on fire. When you drive a reliable, older, used car and keep that $20,000 invested, you aren't sacrificing. You are being strategic. You are choosing a life of ultimate options over a life of stuff that loses value the second you drive it off the lot. The person driving the flashy BMW is probably stressed out of their mind about their next payment, while the person driving the 10-year-old Honda is quietly building a fortune and sleeping like a baby at night. Which one do you want to be? Once you get past that temptation, something even better happens. You become what I call an opportunity magnet. When you are living paycheck to paycheck, every unexpected event is a threat. Your laptop dies, it's a disaster. Your car needs a new transmission, it's a financial emergency that derails your entire year. But when you have $20,000 in the bank, these same events become minor inconveniences at worst. But even better, you start noticing things that were always there, but you were too stressed to see them. Your friend mentions they're starting a business and need a small investment. Before, you would have just felt jealous. Now, you can actually run the numbers and see if it's worth throwing $5,000 at it. A killer deal pops up on a piece of real estate or a piece of equipment. Before, you would have scrolled past it. Now, you can pounce on it. This is what wealthy people mean when they say money goes to money. It's not some cosmic conspiracy, it's just that having cash gives you options, and options create more opportunities to make even more cash. And here is the final, most liberating shift of all. You stop sweating the small stuff. When you're broke, you spend all your mental energy agonizing over whether to buy the name brand cereal or the generic version. You obsess over a $4 cup of coffee. But once you have a solid foundation of $20,000, you realize those micro decisions are largely irrelevant. The difference between spending $4 on coffee and making it at home is maybe $1,000 a year. That's not nothing, but it's not going to make or break your retirement either. Instead, you start focusing your energy on the big decisions. You focus on optimizing your housing costs, maximizing your career income, and making sure your investment strategy is rock solid. You stop being a penny pincher and you start being a strategist. This shift in focus is incredibly freeing because it frees up up your brain for the decisions that actually move the needle. Look, I know $20,000 feels like a mountain right now. I know it feels like it's going to take forever, but I am telling you, it is the most important mountain you will ever climb. It is the difference between surviving and thriving, between reacting to life and actually designing it. Don't let the gurus distract you with their talk of millions of dollars. Focus on this one milestone. Crest this hill, get your first $20,000 in the bank, protect it like your life depends on it, and watch how the entire universe starts to open up for you. Start today. Not tomorrow, not next month, today. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now. Trust me, once you get to the top and feel that weight lift off your shoulders, you will look back and realize it was the best thing you ever did for yourself. Now, go out there, get to work, and I will see you at the top. If this video helped you see things differently, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and give this a thumbs up. It helps the channel more than you know. I'll see you in the next one.